This is a preview from our Texture Control Masterclass. In this session, we'll be demonstrating roller placement and techniques. We'll be using perm rods. It doesn't really matter what type of rollers you use, the process and the wrapping techniques are the same. To begin with, you have to have a defined hairstyle in mind before you even begin the roller placement. It doesn't matter if you're using perm rods or flexi rods or magnetic rollers. The roller placement process is the same. Now, the size of the roller and the direction you roll the hair is based on the finished hairstyle. The amount of tension you use when you're wrapping the hair on the roller determines how smooth the curl will be. You want nice, clean parting so you don't have any pulling or breaking of the hair. Now, we start every professional service with a thorough shampoo and reconditioning treatment. Now, this is a client's scalp at 2 weeks out. It's been 2 weeks since she had a shampoo, her scalp cleansed, and her hair is dirty. 2 weeks is too long to go between shampoos. Look at her scalp. Look at the buildup on the hair fibers. All over the internet, everybody's concerned about growing their hair, but no one is talking about the healthy, clean scalp that's required for healthy hair growth. Whenever you work up a sweat and you feel the need to take a shower to clean off, well, you need to clean your scalp at the same time. There's no difference between the perspiration that happens under your arm and the perspiration that happens out of your scalp, except there is more sebum and the hair is denser, so the ground is more fertile for fungal growth. So whenever you feel the need to rinse off because you've been sweating, well, that's when you need to cleanse your scalp as well. Okay, back to our model. We have cleansed her hair and scalp with a sulfate-free shampoo and hair mask. We just love hair masks. And what happened was we used the water to temporarily break the hydrogen bonds. Now, I'm going to let you know exactly what these hydrogen bonds are. Who knew there were so many cuticle layers? I didn't know there are so many cuticle layers, but we're here to talk about the hydrogen bonds. And the hydrogen bonds, they're temporary. They're there to allow us to manipulate the hair shape. So water or heat will change and break the hydrogen bonds. So what we're doing with any shampoo set, whether it's roller set, magnetic roller set, perm rod roller set, flexi rod roller set, twist out, braid out, what the process is breaking the hydrogen bonds and resetting them into the new style shape. While the hair is wet and we have access to the cortex layer, the hydrogen bonds, we're going to apply our leave-in conditioner. It is so nourishing and strengthening. We apply it to the mid-shaft and ends. It's also a detangler. You just smooth it on the hair and allow it to be absorbed, wait a few minutes, and finger comb through. Remember, we discussed how before you even select the roller size, you have to determine the finished look, because the size of the roller, the shape of the roller, the placement of the roller determines and supports the finished style. And it all begins with the sectioning. Now, this is an example of a classic 5-panel section. That's what we're using for this perm rod roller placement. We begin by placing the perm rods vertically in the nape area and then working our way up the head. This is not a cold wave, so I'm not using end papers. And end papers slow down the hair drying process with perm rods. You want nice, clean, even partings. The size of the partings should be no wider and no longer than the size of the roller you're using. It doesn't matter what kind of roller. The size of the parting should be no wider and no longer than the size of the roller you're using. With experience, you'll understand that rolling curly hair is a lot easier than rolling straight hair because curly hair wants to curl around the roller. All we have to do is control how the hair goes onto the roller. The parting should be thin enough to see through. That way, the hair will dry evenly and quicker. Do you see how I'm using my fingers to coax and to control and encourage the curl onto the roller? Because she has a classic bob haircut, we're giving her a stacked curly bob with these perm rods. This is the roller placement pattern we used. You can see that we followed the direction of the arrows for the roller wrap direction. It's called a brick pattern. Think of a brick wall. The rollers are staggered. We've placed the rods in the nape area, and now we're moving to the lower upper back, and we're placing the rollers in the same direction as the lower row. However, we're not aligning the parts. Remember, this is a brick pattern. Think of a brick wall. The bricks are not aligned evenly in rows. They're staggered for strength. We're placing these rollers in a brick pattern to help us eliminate and blur the lines that you get once you take them out of the dryer and take the rollers out. We're using a larger roller size on this lower back level and throughout the rest of the hair. So we want to make sure that our partings are correct. Remember, we want to be able to see through the partings, and we want them no wider and no longer than the size of the roller. Go ahead and take the time to measure to make sure your partings are correct. And you see how I'm using my fingers to apply pressure and smooth out the ends and encourage them to curl around the roller? That's how it's done. See how I'm putting my finger inside the roller? That helps maintain the tension. Now we're moving to the upper back section, and we're measuring to make sure we place the roller in a brick pattern. We want to ensure that the partings between the rows are not aligned. I'm holding the hair at a 135-degree angle. I'm applying tension and picking up any flyaway hairs as I continue to roll the hair down on itself. This is an on-base curl. You see the tension that I'm using to straighten out her natural curl, and using my finger inside the roller. See how I'm using my finger inside to maintain tension. Because the head is not flat, as we get further up on the head, as we get to the upper back section and in the crown, we're going to have to start pivoting the roller placement. Okay, because of the curvature of the head, we have to pivot the rollers when we place them vertically. We want to make clean partings. We want to use good tension to make sure the finished curl is smooth. Now, it's natural for some shorter hairs to fall out, but then you just go back in with your comb and alter the elevation. I was holding it up at 135 degrees, and perhaps I need to drop down to maybe 100 degrees so I could pick up that shorter hair. I overlaid this example of elevation so you could start thinking about at what elevation you're holding the hair when you're cutting it, when you're laying in highlights, or when you're placing curls, whether it's with rollers or with a curling iron. The elevation determines how the hair will fall. We go deeper into elevations in our multi-textured haircutting masterclass. But for now, I want you to look at this diagram and start thinking about at what elevation you're holding the hair when you're putting the flat iron in it. At what elevation are you holding the hair when you're applying hair color? Very important. We're continuing in the upper back section, wrapping on the right side. We're rolling the rollers to the right. That was a mouthful. And now we're continuing in the front right panel. You see here, we're creating two rolls for roller placement. How we place the rollers around the ear is super important. If you notice here, the amount of hair in the side panels is not nearly as much as any of the other panels. So we have to place the rollers around the ears to give the hairstyle support. The first thing to go in the hairstyle is our sides. Maybe we fall asleep, take a nap, and wake up, and the hair is looking really good, but the side we slept on is kind of jacked. Well, that's a perfect example of the hydrogen bonds breaking. Okay, your hair was in this beautiful flat iron style, and then you took a nap and you woke up, and on your left side where you slept, it got frizzy. Okay, maybe you sweated, maybe you drooled, you broke hydrogen bonds. Speaking of hydrogen bonds, it's important that you keep the hair in between damp and wet. You don't want it too wet, but you want it moist enough so that it's pliable. When you roll the hair and it's partially dry, then the hair will never be smooth. So if you're new to this roller game, make sure you have some purified water in a spray bottle to help reactivate the leave-in conditioner. And this is just a pro tip. No matter what hairstyle you're using and no matter what rollers you're using, the front first half an inch should be rolled forward. That way, the edges will always be smooth. If you notice, I'm using the tail end of the comb to make the partings. When you go in with the teeth of the comb to try to make partings, sometimes that could just make things all tangly. So it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot more precise if you use the tail end of the comb. And you want precision so that you can place the curls exactly where you need to get the desired hairstyle. That's all it is. Also, you don't want any stray hairs being stretched from one section to another. That could lead to hair breakage. Our hair is most fragile when it's wet, so you have to be super conscious and very careful in your partings and the amount of tension you use and the roller placement. Like you want to make sure the rollers at the hairline are not too tight. When I refer to tension, I'm talking about you wrapping the hair on the roller. You want to maintain strong, even pressure to maintain the tension on the hair on the roller, not at the scalp. These are on-base vertical curls. The hair density in her hairline is a little thin and it's drying out quicker than other areas of the hair. I wanted to specifically show you how I held the hair at a 135-degree angle, stretched it out, and then it fell off the roller. That's a very real situation. But here you can see she has about 4 inches of new growth and the rest is prior keratin. Because her front hairline and front fringe area is a little thinner, I'm going to give her a little extra hair love. I'm going to put a little more leave-in conditioner and detangler at the hairline. It's going to nourish and replenish her hair while sealing the cuticle. And when the cuticle layers are aligned and smooth, then the hair is super shiny. That's what gives you shiny hair. When the cuticle layers are smooth and aligned, then they can reflect light and the hair is naturally shiny. You can see right here, her hair is already shiny. This is how a shampoo and set should look. It should be clean, defined, direct, purposeful. You should almost be able to see what the finished hairstyle is going to look like in the roller placement. This shows right here how we used a roller pivot in the fringe to create a natural wave. You see right there in the bottom in the middle, that peach roller? Yeah, I had to rewrap that before I put her under the dryer. This brick roller placement pattern is good for all types of rollers. We use the same pattern right here with magnetic rollers. We modified it a bit with these flexi rods. She wanted a style that was parted down the middle, so we had to do her hairline a little bit different. But in the back, we did the same brick pattern in the back. Larger rollers will give you more volume and a looser curl. Curl rods with twisted hair will give you a more textured effect, and a looser twist will give you a wavy effect. Our goal with these large perm rods was to give her a shampoo and set that could last up to 2 weeks, even though I recommend everybody shampooing a minimum of every 7 days. If she was stranded on a desert island, her hair would last for 2 weeks without even sleeping in a bonnet. This hairstyle is considered a protective hairstyle because all you have to do is put 100% pure hemp seed oil on your hair to maintain it. Once your hair is shampooed and set and dried thoroughly, that is the key. The hair has to be completely dry so that the hydrogen bonds can be reset into the new form. If you take the rollers out before the hair is completely dry, the hair is going to frizz because the hydrogen bonds have not been reset into the new pattern. And once the hair is completely dry, then you allow the curls, the rollers, to cool in place. Don't remove the rollers immediately. The hydrogen bonds need time to reset into the new pattern. What makes the style protective is that once the hair is rolled into the new form, into the new style, you don't have to do anything to it. Don't use a comb, don't use a pick, don't use a brush, just use your fingers. And if you should sleep really wild one night and a section of the curls are looser than the others, then simply take your fingers and wrap the hair around your fingers in the direction that the hair was rolled. And you could just take a bobby pin and stick the bobby pin in there to hold the coil, and you can go on about your day. And by the end of the day, you can take the bobby pin out and the curl will be refreshed. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. We would love for you to join our YouTube channel, subscribe, click the notification button, give us a thumbs up if you found the information helpful. If you want to see us do a different topic, what would you like to see us produce? We have tons of videos on our website that you'll never see on YouTube. Come visit us at beautywellnesshaircare.com.